Communities That Care. Check them out at communitiesthatcare.net. I keep wanting to say it faster and faster each time. But so summer activities, what do you do in the summertime?
Lots of hiking and camping. This is a beautiful place to be.
Now, are you a glamper like our last guest was, or do you like to get in a tent?
I don't know what a glamper is.
She likes maybe a little DirecTV, a curling iron or two, and no, I'm just joking. It's RV camping versus tent camping in the backcountry.
Backcountry.
Getting out in the woods and bonding with the trees.
That's right.
That's how I am too. But
it
is pretty cool. The new glamping craze is kind of the hybrid between hotel and camping. So it's for the people that want a little more natural experience without just sitting in a sterile hotel room.
Well, I just learned something new.
Yeah, so it's no knock on it, because it is getting more people outside. That's all what it's all about. But yeah, summer's coming, and I just love summer in the mountains. There's nothing that beats it. So definitely pretty excited to see the warmer temps. So we got a lot of data. We've been from the Healthy Kids Colorado
survey.
So so we got the data, and so now it's kind of time to implement the data, or do we come up with a plan based on the data? What's the next step in our process here?
Okay. So basically, like you said, we have the data.
Yeah.
We know what kids are doing, and we know maybe some of the risk and protective factors, so the things that help them protect against those potential poor choices, or the things that would maybe encourage them to make poor choices. So
now are we talking like, there's drug exposure, alcohol exposure, marijuana exposure, or are we talking more about like parents working long hours, and so there's not a person at home helping the kid to make right decisions? Or is it kind of both, a blend of everything?
It's a little bit of both. So we're looking at it on all levels. We're looking at a society level, a community level, a family or relational level, all the way down to the individual. So there's lots of things that impact whether or not.
All the different factors that might steer a kid in this direction or that direction.
Right. And then so once we identify behaviors that we want to address, then we will look at the risk or protective factors that would help us to change that behavior, impact that behavior. So during our process right now, we're going to start looking at a lot of data. We're going to look at data, maybe some of those things that we're going to start to look at is what our community looks like. What are parents having to go through? Like here we have to work lots of jobs, 3 jobs, and kids are home alone. There's lots of transportation concerns, so people on the road a lot.
We talked about that with Helen, that a lot of parents are working 3 jobs, and just to get the bills paid, barely. I mean, sometimes rents are high and the wages aren't high, or we're off during October and May, and so the parents might not always be home. So that definitely a lot of extra challenges in our mountain environment up here that might not exist in a more urban setting.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult to live in a place like this.
So, obviously we're not to the solution or implementation phase yet, but I guess you can't tell a parent not to work. The money has to come in somehow.
Right.
So, just from a personal experience, do you know of any solutions that might be to help a community like this, or are we kind of still getting there?
I think we're still getting there. I think some of the big picture things that we always want to look at is we always want to look at how do we support families. So how do we have childcare for families? How do we maybe offer some more convenient transportation, after-school programming for youth, so they have a place to go.
True.
Right. Yeah. Some alternative activities. One of the things we're looking at really in the data right now is the specific risk factors associated with kind of this new change that we have in our marijuana laws in Colorado. So one of the things that starts to kind of rise to the surface when we're looking at kids' response rates is that their perception of risk around cannabis or marijuana specifically has started to change a little bit because it's legal here and because we have a medical marijuana industry here as well.
One day you'll read that medical marijuana is good for epilepsy or something like that.
Right.
So a kid might even benefit from using cannabis. So another kid would say, "Oh, so it's good for me.
Right.
Let's all do cannabis." Or So how does that?
Yeah, it gets a little bit confusing for youth because, like I said, it is legal. However, we do know that the child's brain is developing until about the age of 25. I almost said
25?
Yeah.
Mine's still
25.
developing sometimes, I feel like. Yeah, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So it's really important that we keep youth away from substances as long as we can while their brain is developing. And then when they get to be adults, of course, they can make their own decisions. But really, we're focused on
But being an adult can go all the way to 25. I mean, 18 is the law, or however you want to.
Correct.
Or 21 for
right, 18 for
substance
some
use.
things and 21
But it's really,
for
I
others.
mean, there's still development going on after 21 too. You're not.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of a hard thing for people to be absorbing. So we're really looking at youth specifically in these programming.
So right now we're just identifying procedures. And what's kind of the plan? It's 5 years that you have the grant money. Is that correct?
We have 5 years for the grant. There are 5 phases for the grant. The first, like I said, I think earlier, that the first 2 phases we're through. Now we're looking at our community profile, so really what does the data look like for our community? And then beyond that, we'll develop a work plan and strategies to address any identified needs of our youth.
And so when will we be implementing? When will we start to?
Or I think we're hoping to be in the work plan and implementation stage in 1 more year, in about a year.
So just the start of the 3rd year, we might actually be implementing, and then that'll give us year 3, 4, and 5. I want to say for sure, based on grant money right now, but the idea is to continue this program beyond 5 years.
Absolutely, and then as we get more Healthy Kids Colorado data next year, we'll relook at the behaviors of youth and see whether we need to change anything or we identify any additional gaps that we might need to address.
And will counties be working together, based on some things are going to work, some things aren't going to work, or are they doing a lot of record keeping or sharing of knowledge as we go through this process?
We do some networking or some sharing. For instance, Grand Futures Prevention Coalition is our local prevention effort here, and this coalition is between Routt, Moffett, and Grand County.
Okay.
So we'll start to maybe share some data with them, and then, as I said, Region 12.
Oh, because
yeah, we have a regional focus, and then we are, our Communities That Care group is growing, and we are doing some data sharing and some training opportunities. So, I think as a state, we're going to start really having a lot of sharing.
So this overlaps a lot with the programs we have going on within our community here with the Grand Futures, with the Grand County Rural Health, Grand County Public Health. So there's a lot of working together, collaborating, I assume, with all these.
Absolutely. Actually, that's really the strength of this program. Like I said before, it really is using existing coalitions, what resources we already have in the community, and then so that has sustainability and so that we can go on into the future. As soon as we look at our data, we're going to have another work group that's going to get activated, and that's our resource assessment work group. And they'll start really looking at what are the programs that we have here in the community, how can we expand on those programs, make those stronger, or how can we cover more of our community with those programs, and then help them to actually expand or look for additional funding. So this is really a big picture process that's actually going to work with all of our local
I got to ask, who's the data guru? Is this your specialty, or who's going through the data and really honing in and identifying stuff, or is it kind of a computer-based program?
Actually, I'm not the data head.
You're not the data.
I can't really do it. No, I'm really big picture
you talk
stuff.
the talk, so I wasn't quite sure. You definitely know what you're talking about, so I
just live in that world. Actually, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment has a really good data team there, and they're offering a lot of technical assistance. A lot of the reports that we get are not raw data. They really have already developed our profile for us. They give us all the graphs and a lot of the explanations. So really fortunate to have that. We will have to do a little bit. We are going to be, we're going to have some folks that are kind of a little bit more interested in data on our work groups to help us to make a real nice picture out of this stuff.
Yeah, how incredible. And it's going to be so fun. Fun, I don't know if that's the right word, but to watch the progress. And then also, the Healthy Kids Colorado survey, is that something to do every year? Or is that something that, maybe in 5 years we can kind of do that survey again and check to see if there's improvements? Is that the goal? Is that, your testing is using that survey? Or what will be a test in the future to say, is this effective? How is this working? How will we know?
Well, that'll be how we'll be able to see whether our trends are changing for sure, but there will be evaluation built into any implementation.
Okay, so that'll be all part of it with its own testing, but it's going to be fun to see how that affects our community, and it just seems like it's such a step in the right direction for so many reasons to get kids more
healthy
more
kids
support
or healthy Grand County.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Julie, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll definitely love to have you back in a year just to check in and say, hey, where are we at? What's the plan, and what were the data findings? So
I'd love to report on that.
Yeah, once again, Julie Hines with the Communities That Care. I didn't butcher it that time. A big part of Grand County Public Health. Check them out at communitiesthatcare.net. Definitely learn more about it, and we'll love to talk to you more down the road.
Great, thanks, Ryan.
All right, and hey, Cabo San Lucas.
Yes.
Nice. I wish I was there. Yeah, soon enough. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to run down to Christie's Sports. It's that time of year that they're, I don't want to say giving stuff away, but it's demo ski sale, which is when I do my shopping. So we're going to go down and see what they've got going on right now. All right, thanks again, and we'll be back in a little bit.